Welcome to the virtual chapter of IACT IMDHA. It is the second meeting in our new format. We have an hour and a half with you tonight, which is a nicer expansion over what we used to do, and really happy to do that. It gives us the opportunity to have some great guests and to share some other things with you as well. We have just a little bit of, well, first of all, say hi, Karen. So.
Hi, Karen.
My wonderful assistant. I didn't know how I could do it without you, love. So thanks for being there. It's wonderful to have your help with all this. I do want to say that I just got in the mail today this lovely catalog. Power of You, the IACT IMDHA Hypno Expo. It might have been there for a couple days. I haven't been in my office for a couple days. So here we are, official. All of the conference details are out. It is, of course, May 18th, 19th, and 20th in Daytona Beach. And as usual, there's some pre-conference and post-conference things. I know that you're going to want to show up on the 17th because I'm going to be doing a one-day workshop on evolutionary hypnosis that day. But it's a wonderful conference as always. And the one conference that I think has something going for it that nobody else has. Other hypnosis conferences, they sit people together in a room, and somewhere along the line, somebody is bound to say, imagine that you're sitting on a beautiful beach. We really don't have to do that in Daytona, so we just skip that part and go right for the good stuff. So it's going to be a great time. Melissa Tiers, Sean and Sarah Carson, and Jess Marion, and of course Karen Hand. And
I just want to say, Michael, I'll see your 18th, and I'll see your 17th, and up it to the 18th because I have a full day workshop on the 18th. Stop, look, and listen. The importance of listening to your clients because they will tell you everything you need to know.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Please come to my workshop.
I think I really could use it. So yeah, absolutely. And George Bian, I didn't mention yet. Roy Hunter, Bruce Eimer, et cetera, all kind of great folks. And while I'm mentioning that, we are beginning the presenter series. Some of you may be familiar with. And that is the weeks preceding the conference. We have an extra meeting. They will be on Wednesday evenings at this same time and on this exact same login, as a matter of fact. The first one is a week from tomorrow night. So Wednesday the 21st. We're going to have George Bien and Roy Hunter on that night. We're having two guests each night in this series rather than one, so that we can accomplish it in fewer weeks. We noticed in the past that some of the folks were doing their presentations to the presenter series about 2 weeks before conference, and it was a little too late for people to be able to sign up for their workshops and things and arrange their flights. So I think we've got something going that's going to be a little bit easier for people this time and give you a little more notice, and it's going to be exciting. Karen is going to be on hand, of course, to back me up, and that's wonderful. There is one night where I'm going to be the guest, and although I usually talk to myself, I won't have to do it that night because I will have Karen to interview me and talk to me about my program. And there's another night where Karen is going to be the guest, and so I'll get to talk to her. So that's just all lovely. I do want to let you know, if you are a member of IACT or IMDHA, you can get CEUs for the time that you spend with us here at the virtual chapter. So just go out to the website for your respective organization and log into the members area. There's a little box that'll come up that you just put in the hours. You say, I attended the virtual chapter meeting, and how many hours it was. It's an hour and a half. Now, if you're listening in stereo, it might be 3 hours, but I'm not sure. So I think I would go for an hour and a half first, and that'll do the job. But if you attend that whole series, by the way, you'll have your year's worth of CEUs done. So what a cool thing.
And conference also, you will have your year's worth of CEUs.
Well, of course, that's right.
All of us too. So.
Yeah, and just by way of info, some of you were aware that here in Florida we had a core transformation training this last weekend, and I'm so disappointed. And I've got to tell you, Karen and I were really set up to do this in an interesting way. It was going to be the first ever. We are so exploring and experimenting with this. But the intention was for her to have a room full of people in Chicago and me to have a room full of people in Orlando and to connect online so that basically I could present the core transformation program and Karen could facilitate the folks that were in the Chicago group through the exercises and stuff and really operating it as an extension. And I just think that's so cool. So we got a great test. We saw that it was going to work really well, and then it snowed, Donna. So I don't care what your son said.
And it was quite disappointing.
It was quite disappointing, and yeah, we had to cancel it in Chicago. So we're looking forward to another opportunity. It's going to come up quite soon.
Hopefully in June or right after the snow threat is over.
Yeah. So, well, that's about all I have by way of opening. Karen, do you have anything you want to share with us or talk about?
The only thing I want to add is Don Pellis pointed out he also has a one-day workshop at Daytona. So at some point later on, Don will let you talk about what your workshop is going to be as well. And Michael and I have a busy month in May because we'll also both be at HypnoBiz New York early in May, May 4th, 5th, and 6th. So that's a great thing to join if you guys are going to be around New York.
And first weekend of March, I'm going to be in Los Angeles. Shelley Stockwell has her International Hypnosis Federation is having their retreat, and I'm going to be keynoting at the retreat, and then a core transformation training for 2 days after that's over as well. So yeah, we're keeping busy these days, aren't we?
Yes, we are. That's a good thing. We love that.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I used to weigh 973 pounds, and just look at me now.
You will see a lot less of me at that'll be exciting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I am. So who is it that we have here as a guest tonight? I've heard about this lady, Marilyn Gordon. I lived out there in San Francisco for a while, and I was very much aware of her. And I don't know why it is that we never met each other. So I'm just thrilled to have this chance now. And Karen, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest?
She is amazing. Marilyn Gordon is a life transformation teacher, speaker, healer, board-certified hypnotherapist, personal development school director, and author with 40 years experience, both teaching and healing in such areas as meditation, yoga, hypnotherapy, consciousness transformation, and personal and spiritual development. She's won 6 hypnotherapy, including Educator of the Year. She assists you to move to a higher level of your life and create extraordinary transformation and healing, as well as to release your old patterns, habits, and thoughts and be transformed and uplifted into the full greatness of your being. I want to say on a personal note that I have followed Marilyn since I was a baby hypnotist. In fact, the first book I ever bought, aside from my the manuals and things I got during certification, was this one, if you can see it, The Wise Mind. Now, Marilyn, notice, look at all of these blue tabs I have in here. When I was first doing this, I used this book so much. It it really helped me a lot. So I told Marilyn recently that I'm not a stalker, but I know an awful lot about her because I've followed her for years.
Amazing. It's amazing. Thank you.
So tell me, how did you get into all of this? Because you didn't start out as a hypnotist. You were a teacher, right?
I was, and it's been longer than 40 years, probably like 45 years I've been doing this. I started out as an English teacher, and I was an English teacher in the late 60s. The students were rioting in the schools. And my last year was at a school where they were especially rioting. And although I was very courageous, I was a basket case. I was a wreck. I just tried everything I knew to relax. I didn't know how to do this, but I tried aspirins. I tried barbiturates with caffeine and aspirin in them, and I tried Pepto-Bismol because I needed it from all that. And I just could not handle this. So one day I came back to California. I used to live in California before that. I lived in California. I don't know if you know about the free speech movement and all that. I went to school at the University of California right around that time. I went back to Chicago and I taught for 5 years. Then someone suggested I go to a yoga class. I went to a yoga class in California. It just blew my mind. It blew my mind because it was so beautiful. The place was beautiful. It smelled like incense. It smelled like baked bread. It smelled like, wood from the railings of the rickety staircase that went upstairs to this beautiful room where there was skylights and plants. And we did this relaxation at the end, and you all know it as progressive relaxation, but I didn't know it at the time. And we did progressive relaxation, and I said, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. This is it. So I became a yoga teacher, and I became a meditation teacher. And, I just said, I have to stay in this atmosphere and do this because this is what's helping me. And then I took a course in 1971. I took the very first EST course. I don't know if you know about EST and Werner Erhard. I took EST, the very first one in San Francisco. And what Werner Erhard did, and by the way, he's really a great man. He got a very bad rap. What he did was he helped us get into a state of relaxation and then work through a lot of issues. And that was the first time I'd seen anybody or felt anybody doing that. And it really blew my mind. So I started doing that too. And I called what I did inner healing because I had no idea it could be called hypnosis. And I taught inner healing for a number of years, and I gave workshops at the Holistic Life University in San Francisco and different places. Then I met a woman at a gathering, and she told me she'd become certified as a hypnotherapist. I said, well, what did you do? She said, well, we help people relax. We help them work through things. I said, you got a certificate for that? It just blew my mind. And so I got certified. And then everything became easier as far as putting myself on the map, creating a business, putting up a shingle. Because before I had a name, Inner Healing, but it didn't really have any gravitas for a lot of people. But hypnotherapy did. And I started a business, and then I started a school, because what I've done all my life is be a teacher. So, of course, I had to teach that too. And I started a school, and it began to grow. And then about 10 or 15 years ago, I decided I wanted to do things online. So I learned how to do it. I studied. It took me a while because I couldn't figure out how to put this kind of work online. The people in the courses I was taking were all marketers and people with like these solid things like, how to make a quilt or how to do things. And this is really, to me, real deep transformational work. But I finally figured it out. And I made myself give teleseminars because I was very scared at first, because I just didn't have my sea legs, and I started doing it, and then I loved it. I started doing teleseminars and courses. I gave this one course called Spiritual Healing Power. I gave it 5 times. I actually even gave it last year. But I have this tech person that made videos out of what I had done, and I kept giving it. So now I'm creating another one. I just changed the name of it today. And I'm looking for exactly the right thing that I want to do next. I have it in my mind, but I want to have it the exact right name. So the first name that I had for it was Rejuvenation Celebration, which a lot of people like, but it doesn't really feel like me. So the name that I came up with this morning was Transformation Breakthrough. That feels like me, but it doesn't probably have the pizzazz. I'd love to get your vote on this. Which name do you like better? Do you like Rejuvenation Celebration or Transformation Breakthrough?
So look down there at the chat box, and if you want to vote, just put your vote there in the chat box, and we'll let Marilyn see all of that.
Or you can raise your hands. Who likes the first one, the Rejuvenation Celebration? Who likes the second one, the Transformation Breakthrough? Who doesn't like any of it? I see more people like the transformation breakthrough. I really feel that it just feels more like me. You know, if you want to talk about a brand and all that stuff, you know, I could say that's it. And I love the word transformation. And actually, that was the word that Werner Erhard used all the time, transformation. And something I do that I heard him do over and over again, and I hear him in my ears when I do it, is like, relax, relax, relax. And I hear Werner's booming that out in this big room. So and it's such a great thing to do because it really helps people to go deeply.
Right. So Marilyn, I was saying earlier that I started out with your wise mind process, and it's such an easy thing to really do. Can you explain it to us briefly?
Well, you know, the wise mind process has evolved, and it's not here anymore. And what's here now is the radiant power technique, and it has a whole different sequence of points. It's still easy to do, but it has a lot more, even more depth to it. Would you like me to tell you about it, the radiant power technique? Would other people like to hear about it? I love it because you know what? It could be a whole hypnotherapy session. Sometimes I use it as a preliminary technique before people go into hypnosis, but sometimes you can use it just for the whole session. And in fact, I changed the way I'm teaching my course. So there's method 1, method 2, and method 3. Method 1 is just an easy way to do things. It's just, just looking at the issue and doing deep suggestions and possibly making a recording. But the second one is the radiant power technique, the second method. And the third method is transformational hypnotherapy. So I've divided the whole course into the 3 methods. And I really like it. I just finished teaching it and it really works well. We just call it method 1, method 2, method 3, and they can choose what they find most comfortable. But let me tell you a little bit about the radiant power technique. The first, it's got 4 steps, just the way the wise mind process, and it's got the wise mind in it. The wise mind is, again, the 3rd step. But the first step has changed. And the first step I learned from a teacher, a guru, a master, an avatar in India, who is bringing back the Vedas and the Upanishads and all the ancient scriptures. And there's a technique in there that he calls completion. And it's a technique that helps people finish their issues, their traumas, their repetitive thoughts. There's where samskaras. You know that word samskaras? It's a Sanskrit word for the patterns of the issues. And this done enough, when you do completion enough, it wipes those things out, so you just don't have them anymore. And I'll tell you, I'll show you that technique in a minute. The second technique is using Faster EFT. Now, a lot of you probably know EFT, right? How many of you know EFT? How many of you use it? How many know about Faster EFT? Great, all right. So I'm going to talk about, I love it. I really love it. And so I'll tell you a little bit about it, and I'll tell you a little story about it too. And then the third technique is working with the wise mind and working with some metaphysical things like light and love. And the fourth technique is kind of an NLP technique, which uses imagine yourself looking and feeling just the way you'd like to look and feel. What's that called? Trance rehearsal. And so, what's that?
Or future pacing.
Future pacing, right. Those are the words I was looking for. Either one of those. Are they the same things? I think they are, aren't they? Essentially. So the first technique, completion, is easy, but it's so deep that you have to make sure that you stand in the space of your client, which I'm sure that you do, and hold the space for that. Because what it does, let's say a person has been in a traumatic situation. So she goes into the feelings of it, the feelings, what's going on in the body, and just really feel them profoundly. And you keep vivifying that and asking them, tell me more about how it feels. Tell me more about it. And then I asked them, okay, now let yourself expand those feelings. Let them grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger so that you really feel them. And it isn't traumatic. It seems like it might be because some people cry, but it isn't traumatic, but it's very powerful. So they experience, and then I say to them, now you may notice that at some point it's going to start getting lighter. And so it does. And so I ask them, please tell me when it starts getting lighter for you. It starts getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And then I say to them, and eventually you may notice that it's going to melt away. It's going to evaporate like water on a hot summer sidewalk. It's going to evaporate. It's going to go away. And so that may be the end of the pattern, or they may have to do it again a few times. But it is kind of a miracle because it really does effectively release patterns to the point where they begin to disappear, to disintegrate, to evaporate in thin air. So after that, I do Faster EFT just to kind of put the, just the star at the top of the tree, because sometimes they don't really need it because they have let go so well. But I like to do Faster EFT. Now, if you don't know it, I'm going to show you that Robert G. Smith is the person who created Faster EFT. And you probably know Gary Craig is the person who created EFT itself. Okay. So interestingly enough, this is so interesting to me. I used to be friends with Gary Craig, and I went to one of his programs where he did a lot of video work. And at a break, I was showing how to integrate hypnotherapy and EFT, and they videoed it. And I got so many comments from all over the world. They had never seen anything like it. First of all, they'd never seen anybody put their arm around a client or say, I love you, or anything like that. It was just foreign to them, and they were really impressed with it. And then Robert G. Smith, who created Faster EFT, he said he saw it, and he created Faster EFT. He used it as an influence for creating it. He put something about Faster EFT on my timeline on Facebook, and I said, I really like this. So I went over to his page and he said, I really like this. He said, you had a role in helping. And I said, that is amazing to me because I love it. I love it because it's so simple and it really works and clients can learn it easily. So I'll show you what it is. I have a little bandage on my finger. So anyway, I'm going to show you. It goes like this. Let it go. That's third eye. Let it go. Side of the eye, and it's just one side, let it go. Under the eye, let it go. And then the collarbone points, let it go. And those are the only points that are tapped. And then you hold underneath the other hand and the wrist, and you hold securely. Take a deep breath in and exhale and say peace. And imagine yourself feeling good. Now, I know that Robert G. Smith has created his own little empire out of this. He gives day-long workshops, not necessarily in just this technique, but I think this is the way he does it. And people are getting transformations all over the place. I like it. It works. It works for my clients. It works in my classes. It is so easy, and people can learn it so fast. At first, Gary Craig did not like this because it was not orthodox EFT. And I can understand his point of view, because he put a lot of time and energy to creating this. But, the EFT is very organic. And a lot of people create their own ways of doing it. And they mix other things in with it, and they put a name on it. They create a website, and there they have their own kind of program. But I think that Robert Smith's contribution is great, So we do first of all the completion and then EFT. If you want to know more about completion, and I think I'm not doing it completely orthodoxly, but his name is Paramahamsa with an M, Paramahamsa Nityananda, Nityananda, and he's got thousands of discourses on YouTube. And he's an avatar, a young one. He's 40 years old. He's in India. Very, very great. And he works with the mind and he works with consciousness. But, you know, he worked more with the mind than he does now. But now what he's doing is giving powers, because he says people have these powers inside of them. He's not really giving them. He's bringing them out. This was Shivaratri. He gave an initiation to thousands of people today in opening the third eye. Because when you open the third eye, you can get powers like reading while blindfolded, you know, moving objects with your mind only, changing your size. You can change the size of your body, doing body scanning, body readings, healings. These are all innate abilities, powers that we have that our culture has covered over with doubt. And he is opening up these powers now through initiations. And some of them, he just gives them for free. And he gave this one today for free. Of course, some of his programs are not. But if you're interested and want to hear some of his discourses, it's fascinating. You know, he talks about everything, about the ancestors and their influence on the mind, and even ancient aliens and how they've influenced. I've started to get interested, and there's this TV program called Ancient Aliens. Anybody watch it? It is fascinating. It shows that there are the origins of a lot of the things we do in the work that we do, but where they came from, they're extraterrestrial. It's a mind blower, because there's so much more. There's so much happening that, you know, we're tapping these innate abilities. And that's why I like working with the higher mind, because it taps innate abilities. You know, the subconscious mind is one level, and a lot of hypnotherapists work with the subconscious mind, which is great because it is like Google. To me, it's a file system, and you could put it on search mode, and you know that, right? You know that you just put it on search mode. It's a file system. But the only thing about the subconscious mind is that it files what you experience, not all these higher level things, these higher levels of consciousness. And there's so many other places to go. And that's why I love working with the superconscious mind, which is other levels of being, other levels of healing. Now, I haven't gotten initiated to be able to read while blindfolded yet, but, you know, I can do things with the subconscious mind. For example, if, you know, people need healing, they can always tap into love. Now, we know love in a human form, but there are levels of love that are divine, and we can tap into these other levels by meditating, by getting in touch with the higher being, and letting this healing love come from our clients and to our clients, and let them heal their issues, so that they're left in a whole different higher level of consciousness. There's just so many levels we can step up and up and up, and so many places for us to go. It's very exciting because it's just limitless what we can do, and we could keep growing and opening all of these abilities. It's just, to me, it's beautiful. I think this is a great profession, because not only can we tap into levels of consciousness, but we can use these powers that we have to do books and audio tapes and videotapes and workshops, seminars. You know, we have multiple streams of income. This is one of the most creative professions that I could ever imagine. So there are no limits on what we can do.
Marilyn, I want to step back, if you don't mind, too. We were on the second phase of
your I forgot.
Okay.
There's two more steps.
Yes, but
I got off on something. Sorry.
I'll keep us on track.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
But let me ask you a question about the EFT. Now, do you tap on the client, or do you teach them EFT and have them tap?
Good question. When I do tapping as a preliminary technique before we get into hypnosis, then I ask them to tap on themselves. I teach them to do it. However, when they're in hypnosis, I ask them, is it okay for me to tap on you? And the reason for that is that their arms are limp. And if they're going to pull their arms up and tap on themselves, it's a strain for a lot of people who are in a deep trance. So it just depends when we do it. And I ask them, especially, I always say, I'm going to touch your forehead now, because if you touch someone on the face and they're in trance, they will, they'll what's the word, flinch. They'll flinch because it's so sensitive. To just say, I'm going to touch your third eye now. I'm going to touch your forehead. But first I ask, is it okay for me to tap on you? I always ask permission when I tap. Oh, and by the way, I have to tell you, I'm going a little bit off on tangent. Is that okay with you, Karen? I saw something on Facebook that I said, oh my God. This was a woman, she was relaxing a little baby. And this had helped the baby to go to sleep. So she was going like this over the baby. I don't know if you ever saw that video. You saw that over the little baby like this, and the baby was like going like this. And I said, oh my God, there's a hypnotic induction. That is so great. And we named it at our class. We called it the soothing induction. So I changed. I used to do this other rapid induction, but I changed into the soothing induction. So I asked them, is it okay for me to touch your face? I touch the face, I touch the shoulders, the hands, and the knees. Is it okay for me to do that? Okay, I'm going to touch your forehead now. Relax. Relax. And I said, do you feel relaxed? He said, oh, yeah. It is so relaxing for them. Just watching that little baby get hypnotized, was just so phenomenal. I thought this could work with big people too, and it does.
Isn't that, Marilyn, almost an instant regression? Because how many of us had our mothers, do this, or how many mothers have done this to their children? And that's got to feel similar to that, especially in that state.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So the next, go ahead. You wanted to ask me something about tapping.
Tapping on them. And then how does that progress?
So you tap on them and imagine yourself feeling good. So I ask them, do you feel that we need to tap some more? Because if they still haven't finished with this, we might need to tap some more. And by the way, some people just do tapping and don't have the advantages that we have of hypnotherapy, and they have great results. So look what we can do with tapping and hypnotherapy and these other techniques. It's really amazing. So I ask them so sometimes I say to them, how many more times would you like me to do this? With certain people, I'll do that. And they'll tell me, okay, let's do it 2 more times. So we do it. And then I say, okay, let's go on to the next step. So you ready? Did you have any more questions about that?
There is a question from Catherine. Are we talking about clairsentience or clairvoyance? Clear seeing or knowing, she asks.
When I was talking about the powers?
I believe so. Is that right, Catherine?
Yeah. All of that. It's using the powers of the inner. They were in what this teacher calls the intra-organs. There's eyes inside. The third eye is called an intra-organ. So it's about opening that power of the third eye and being able to see into things, to know things, to do body scanning, to do full healing. Those are just places that we can go, levels that we can go, just look up at our possibilities.
Catherine, not if you have more of a question on that, because if you do, let's open your mic and have you.
If Catherine?
No, she said no, she's good.
No, it's fine. I'm a Noah. So I'm a Noah. I was born as a Noah. So when
You're
you're
what?
talking about, I'm a born as a knower. So I'm a born knower. So
Oh, you're a knower. Okay, a
no,
knower.
I
Okay.
was born. So we talk about it as senses. So we talk about it. It's an extension of who you are. So like everybody can see, smell, feel.
Yeah.
It's just an extension of who we are. So when we talk about it, we kind of think, doesn't everybody know this? So when I meet somebody, I know everything about you, or I can.
Yeah.
So it is just a knowing. It's like a sense. So what you're talking about is developing another sense of who you
Right.
are.
Right. Well, you
So
are blessed. You are blessed because you know that you know. But what many of us, need to open those things up because they've been closed by our culture or our programming. So many things have closed us up. So you're blessed not to have been closed.
I was brought up by very proper English parents, so I don't know how that happens. But we have a lot of empaths empaths. There are so many empaths. So everybody has an empath. So knowers or claircognizants is what we're called. Is different, but there are people who can do it. So I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
Just more and more people are going to be opened up to their powers. That's the great thing. And it's wonderful that you already are. But anyway, the next step, are you ready?
It's just a sense. It's just
I know to you it is, but to many people it's really super. It's really amazing.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that what we were talking about is the same.
What did you say?
She wanted to know if what you were talking about is the same.
Well, I believe so. I can't say for sure.
All right, well, it sounds it is, but you're kind of making it more than what we think it is.
But it is more. Yours is more too. It's really a great thing. Anyway, the next step is the wise mind. So the question is, what would your wise mind tell you about this? And in order for people to answer that, they have to get in the space of the witness. And they get out of the state of the problem and into the witness state. And to take a look and be over on the mountaintop, looking at the situation and saying, what would my wise mind tell me? And so often, the wise mind will tell them the exact solution. And I make sure to write down every word that their wise mind says, as much as I can, as fast as I can write, because I make recordings for people. And if we have time, I'd love to talk about that because I think they're so important. And to give them back their own words is a wonderful thing to do. So then I have two other parts of that, and they're metaphysical, and I use them sometimes and I don't use them sometimes. And I just bring in light, healing light, and sometimes it comes from the universe, sometimes from inside of them. I have this one thing called the healing room of light that I really loved and that clients love. So they're sitting in the middle of a room, and there's light coming down from the ceiling and out from the walls and up from the floor, and they can be there themselves or bring in anyone they want. And it's a really totally healing experience. I have one client, she just likes to use it every day. She's been very badly hurt in an accident. And this work has helped her so much because she had tremors and everything. And EFT has helped her a lot, and hypnotherapy has helped her. So, there's so much you can do. But anyway, the wise mind is a way of getting into the witness state. And, NLP uses witness state all the time. So this is a way of getting into that state without necessarily doing NLP. But then you do some NLP when you get into the last segment, which is imagine yourself looking and feeling just the way you'd like to look and feel. And that I also take really good notes on, because that's something that you're going to, if you like making tapes, that is something that is really great for reinforcing their situation. And then I say, and I'd like it if you could give me a word or a phrase that symbolizes your healing. and they'll have a word or phrase, and I said, if you would, just put your thumb together with your index finger and say your word or phrase and let that reverberate throughout your body and mind. Now, you might notice that I don't use the words I want you to, and I'm very conscious of that. And I really feel that for those of us who do client-centered work, that we really want to watch our language and not use I want you to, and use the words like if you would, and just let yourself, and it's okay to, and go ahead. And there's a kind of Ericksonian types of phrases. I like those personally a lot more than I want you to, but if you use I want you to and you feel comfortable with it, more power to you. It's just not something that I like.
And Marilyn, this came up recently on actually Richard Nongard's Facebook page, where he suggested that people not use I want you to.
Good.
I'm interested to hear your reasoning for that.
Okay. Yeah, right? Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot I have to say about it. Number one, it's what I want you to do, but what do I want to do if I'm the client? I want you to close your eyes, but what do I want to do? So I'd like to say, if you would, just let yourself close your eyes down. If you would, if it's okay with you. It's very authoritarian language, and it tells what are the directives of what I want. It's what I want. And the thing is, if you always want something from a client, then you can have a client who is not doing what you want, but if you never want something, and if you only go with what's coming from a client and use permissive language, then you never have a client who's out of who's resistant, because then you can work with what's going on with the client, and it's never resistance. But if you say I want you to, the person could resist. Now, I personally don't like people to tell me what to do. Do you?
No.
I don't like it. I would like people to say, what would you like to do? Another thing is, I want you to walk along the beach. Now, what if I don't like the beach? What if I have a fear of the water? What if I have trouble walking? What if, there's all these things. So I like to say, you might see it, feel it, think about it, just know it's there. Give all these options and say, if you like the beach, or I'd rather say, find a place that you love and let's go walking there, because what if they are afraid of water? It's so risky to give those commands, those direct commands that are so authoritarian. At least to me they are. And if you like them, I really hope you don't feel criticized by me. I mean, I don't mean to do that. I just am telling my opinion.
Well, I think it's wonderful for us all to do different styles, because there are different types for all styles. There are some people who respond quite well to being told what to do.
I know there are. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
And sometimes, I think if we're doing client-centered therapy, one of the things we want to do is make sure that we are approaching it the way that they best respond to it.
Yes.
I don't like to tell people what to do either. I think Michael likes to invite people to participate. Is that true, Michael?
Yeah, I think that's a good word.
I like that too.
I think of trance as being something that we elicit from clients, as opposed to something that we do to them.
Impose. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Impose. The imposition of hypnosis is a really good article title.
That's how you get resistance. By imposing. If you don't do that, you don't have resistance, and it doesn't exist.
You can learn a lot from Aikido.
Yeah, right. Just as you said, Marilyn,
that's right.
Just as you said, if someone says, I want you to close your eyes, I might, because I don't like being told what to do, I might be in the recliner saying, but I don't want to. I'm going to keep my eyes open. Now what are you going to do?
Exactly. See, that's the same way that I feel.
Right.
Same way that I feel.
It's not setting up the yes set, it's setting up the no set, which is definitely what we do not want in hypnosis.
If you forgive me for adding something in here, I think this is it's an interesting topic that we were just talking about a couple of nights ago on another group. As I said, I just came back from Rio, right? And here's my distinction between people in Brazil and people in America. In America, if somebody's sitting in a chair across from you and you say, take a nice deep breath and close your eyes, they'll say, well, do I have to close my eyes? Will it work if I don't close my eyes? I don't know if I want to close my eyes. And in Brazil, if you say, take a breath and close your eyes, they will practically fall out of the chair. So there are just these cultural differences, and I think we really need to be sensitive to who we are working with. Milton Erickson died 40 years ago. Dave Ellman died 50 years ago, and they never worked with 21st century clients. The people that we work with are different than they were when those patterns were described in the literature. We shouldn't be impersonating them. We should be embracing their forward-looking line of thought and continue to create what's appropriate for today.
And I think it's a way of honoring your client too. It's saying, what would you like? What's good for you? What comes from you? Because, you know, they have a great wealth of beingness in them. And they have answers and they have understandings that if we can ask the right questions, we can tap that. And that, I think, is one of the greatest secrets of being a good hypnotherapist, of knowing how to ask the right questions. That's
maybe the most important thing that we have to do.
What's that?
Maybe the most important thing.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Well, and speaking of questions, one of our viewers has written a question that we haven't given to you yet. She says she's very excited to be here. I shouldn't assume. Actually, I shouldn't assume it's a she. This person says, "I am very excited to be here. Please excuse. I have the camera covered. I have a question. If you are an empath, how do you separate yourself and the client's emotions? I am extremely sensitive and haven't learned how to separate the two emotions."
Very important question. Very, very important. And, you know, I'm an empath too. And it's a good thing to be, because you're sensitive. You feel and you understand and you know what people, but, you know, the problem with being so sensitive is that you do take things on. So my answer to it was to be a meditator. And I am a meditator. I've been meditating for 40-something years. And getting in a state of meditation is getting centered. If I'm centered, I'm not into my own emotions. I'm into all that is state. And I'm not taking on other people's, because I'm into my own beings. I think Catherine wants to ask a question too.
Right. Like that.
But she's muted.
Let me unmute you, Catherine.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Hold on just a second, Catherine. We'll open that microphone in a moment.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, Catherine.
She's still muted.
I don't think
Try now. No, she's still muted.
Yeah, there she is.
Add something. Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I add something? Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Are you asking me? What is she asking me? I have a little trouble hearing you, Catherine. I'll turn up my sound for you.
Ask a question. I was going to answer a question. Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Please.
Absolutely.
All right. If you're an empath and if you're trying to not be associated to the empath, you need to learn to set your boundaries. So the first thing is you need to set flexible boundaries. If you haven't got them, learn them. So make sure that your inner child is placed where it should be, because empaths put their inner child away very early in life. Mm-hmm. So get in touch and do your own inner child work, because you put it away. So that's the first thing you do. All empaths do not let their inner child out. So you need to do your own work, get your inner child back into place.
I'd like to add to that, Catherine.
I know this sounds really...
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you? I'm sorry. I just want to say, if you have worked with your inner child, and if you have worked with your own issues and finished them, then you're not going to get triggered by your clients. So you have to really work on yourself. And I'm sorry for interrupting, but I needed to say that. Go ahead and say more.
Yeah, it's about your boundaries. You have boundaries. So it's like putting on, and then lots of empaths have something like they wear a hat, they wear a scarf, you will wear something. And it's like a force field. And because your inner child is the thing that allows you to have boundaries, because empaths don't know how to do them. And I don't know how good your boundaries are, but empaths don't. and impact and boundaries, your personal boundaries are all about the child. And having something physical helps you with that force field. That's all I want to tell you. Most empaths wear a hat, a scarf, or something, and they know that when it's on, it's a barrier, and when you have it off, you're an empath.
Thank you, Catherine. And I'm
letting you know that that's what we do now.
From a number of empaths that they wear silk. Women will wear like a silk camisole or a silk scarf, and I think there's some hypnosis involved with that too. I know that if we take on a belief that a hat, a scarf will protect us, then that does become our protection. It becomes self-hypnosis for us. And I think you're right, Catherine. I think whatever it takes to set those boundaries is a really good idea.
Yeah, I have a visualization that was for me, that I imagine a force, an energy coming down through the top of my head and going through my being and going into the ground, and then I'm connected with the universe. And so I am not me, this small me. I'm connected, and so I'm a channel for the healing power of the universe. And that makes it so that I don't take on other people's stuff, because that's not where I am.
And Marilyn, by the way,
empaths are all.
When I met her, I was very shocked. I thought because she has a big personality. She's very strong in herself. And you're what, about 5'8"?
I'm under 5 feet tall, and I've lost a couple inches because I'm 77, so I've lost about 2-something inches. You know, it's just like, that's not fair, but hopefully I'll get the powers and I'll grow. But it doesn't matter. It's only a body. It's only a body.
Powerful, small but powerful.
Can I just add one thing, and then I'll let you get on with your talk. All empaths are kinesthetic. Their modalities are kinesthetic, so that's why they like silk. It's all about textures and feelings. So it also helps divert the attention out of their. It's like you said, Marilyn, a grounding. So if you ever talk to a kinesthetic, they all talk in feelings, because their modality and they're working subconsciously. They put all their language in through feelings and through textures, and that's how they get it back out. So all their modality is kinesthetic. So yes, that's why they like to wear soft fabrics. They talk softly. They like to do it because it's a modality, and that's another way of grounding them. So you're right. So
and you can also tap on yourself. You know, the tapping doesn't have to be done with the hands. It can be also done with the mind. You can do mental tapping. And so if you find yourself getting connected to someone, and you don't want to in that particular way, bring yourself back in and go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go inside, you know, without saying it, and just imagine it, and just keep working on yourself so that you don't just let yourself spread out where you don't want to spread out.
Yes.
I always tell my empaths to find something soft or hard, and just, you know, find something soft or hard and ground yourself.
Thank you, Catherine, very much. I appreciate that.
Sorry, I'll let you go on. Sorry.
You have good things to say, Catherine. I appreciate your words. Thank you.
Your input. So I'd just like to reiterate, to make sure that I have it correct, Marilyn.
Yeah.
The radiant power begins with completion, moves into faster EFT, the wise mind, and future pacing, or look and feel the way you want to be. That's a lovely.
And then anchoring with this kind of anchor, which is a mudra. You know, it says okay sign also. Yes,
lovely.
With their words.
And you brought up earlier the superconscious and how important that is to you. And as a matter of fact, I believe it is because of you that when I talk about the model of the mind, and I have a visual metaphor for that, I include the superconscious. That in that I include intuition and what you just know, and wisdom and experience. You define the superconscious as you see it, please.
It's the higher mind. It's love, peace, wisdom, bliss. It's connectedness, it's compassion, it's you know, it's the highest form of all those qualities. And when working with the superconscious, you're working with the healing power. You know, I had this one student years ago who was also a psychotherapist, And he said, boy, did this change his mind. He only worked with this level, talking with people, and worked with his version of subconscious, but never went to the superconscious. And he learned to do it by going into the wisdom, going into love, going into peace, going into all the great qualities of the superconscious. There's just so many other levels that we can reach with it, and that's why I love working with it. I think it's really important. Well, at least to me it is. I don't think it's important for everybody, but it is to me because it adds another dimension. I have a chart of levels of consciousness too, and the superconscious is up on the top, and then comes, I'll talk about that the last, but then I talk about the conscious mind, which is really important to work with. You work with the conscious mind. I like working with stinking thinking, called fake news of the mind. I like working with that. And there's the conscious mind and then the subconscious. I used to think that the subconscious and the unconscious were the same thing, that unconscious was just a Freudian term for the subconscious. But I heard one teacher from India say that the unconscious is where karma is stored. It's where these patterns, where the samskaras are stored. So we could think about it like that. It's so great to have all these different levels of mind that we have connection with and are able to work with. Excuse me, there's one more thing. There was the energy system. That was at the bottom of it, the energy system and the superconscious, all these levels. Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Please finish.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I'm curious if there's a difference between healing and transformation. Are they the same, or are they different levels or different things?
Well, healing is a word, that can embrace transformation. Transformation is a process. And I have, for me, there's 3 steps in transformation. There's experience, release, transform. Experience, get in touch with your situation. Really get in touch with it, come to know it. Release it using these release techniques like the techniques in the Radiant Power technique. And then transform means to go to the superconscious and adopt the qualities of the superconscious that are within you. Experience, release, transform. So that is a healing process. That it's healing just is a word to say that you're doing transformation and you're creating a state of healing. But I like both words. Do you like both words?
I like both words. Michael, do you have a preference? Or we're not hearing you for some reason, Michael.
Oh, you're not hearing me because
there you go. I hear you.
My unconscious mind had muted my microphone. I to some degree, to me, I appreciate all the words and I appreciate all the distinctions that people make, and but the other part of me too is that I think that we've got various models, each of which seem to have languages of their own and describe in different ways this naturally occurring phenomena called hypnosis. And one of the things that's interesting to me is when we get together folks from different groups and different organizations, we end up not so much talking about hypnosis as we do arguing about our descriptions of it. and which one is the right one. The descriptions are, of course, our made-up metaphors about this thing that is beyond words in the first place.
Agreed. Right.
I like both words. I use both words most of the time. So I just like to put them, they're pretty sounding to me. I like them.
So let me get technical for a moment, Marilyn, and ask you some specifics about business and a business model. When you're working with a client, do you have a set number of sessions? Are your sessions about an hour? Do they go as long as they go? Tell us some of those kinds of technical.
My sessions are 90 minutes because I have a special protocol that I have. One is I talk to a person. I really like to find out about a person. I like to get to know the whole person. I look at pictures on their phones of their kids and their dogs and their husbands and their wives. I just feel like I really can speak to the whole being when I get to know them. So that takes a little time. Then I have questionnaires that I have given them, and I go over the questionnaire with them. Then I do the hypnosis part, and I make them a 15-minute recording. So all of that takes an hour and a half. And every once in a while, it takes a little longer than that. But it feels to me like I can get a lot done in that time. And I feel more satisfied with what I get done. Now, as far as how many sessions, lately I've been doing something different from what I used to do. I'm giving a 3-session special to people. I like doing the 3 sessions because it gives me an opportunity to reinforce and go more deeply and do different techniques each time. And sometimes I make new recordings and sometimes I don't. But the recordings are 15 minutes. And the clients love them. How many people here make recordings for people?
Sometimes.
On occasion, but not every session, yeah.
I do it most every session. I do them 15 minutes long, so they're not too long for people to listen to. And the first part is an induction, 10 to 1, 5 to 1, then 3 levels deeper. And I want to talk about that in a minute, if it's okay with you. Sure. Then I have 7 minutes where I channel material that's particularly for them. And now that you are free of your old situation, John, you are able to da-da-da-da-da-da, and now you can. And if you ever want to or need to, you can use the tapping. And you can tap third eye, say, let it go. Side of your eye, let it go. And I do it very hypnotically, sometimes mention the techniques. But I wanted to talk about something that was really interesting. Many years ago, I think it's over 20 years ago, I called up Walter Secord on the telephone. Now, do you know who he is? You've heard of his name before?
Yeah, we know Walter.
You knew him?
Yeah.
Wow. He was the father of Ultra Depth.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, that's so fascinating. I want to talk to him. So I called him up one day. I really had, a lot of nerve. I called him up and he talked to me and he told me some really interesting things. He said, if you want people to go really, really deeply, use numbers and alphabet letters, use the reptilian primitive mind. Don't use visualizations if you want to do a deep, deep, deep induction. Visualizations are fine, but they're for something else. So I have followed that ever since I talked to him years ago. And for inductions, I count backwards, 10 to 1, 5 to 1, and then alphabet, 3 levels deeper, A, B, C. And later on, I'll do some visualizations if need be. But I think what he said is really true, because when you do visualizations, they're more intellectual. And so, when you want to get out of the intellect and into the more, say, primitive mind, the reptilian brain, and you do something that's so easy, like numbers and letters. So did you want me to answer anything else about business?
No, whatever you would like to. I'd like you to talk more about your recordings, though.
Yeah, okay.
And do you do that with the client there, or do you have recordings?
I do. Students ask me, oh, can I do it when they leave? Can I do it? I say yes, but I call that homework. And I think it will behoove you to learn how to do it with the client there. First of all, the client's there, you're picking up on the client's being. And you make that recording, especially for the client. But I make it easy. I've got these papers. I call it the A to Z of a hypnotherapy session. And they have everything you need. They're 6.5 pages long. I give them to students. And they tell everything you need to go from one phase of the work to the other, saying the words that you say to get from one to the other. That's why I can do a shorter hypnotherapy course, because it's all there. They're doing on the second and third day, they're doing deep regressions and past lives, the second or third day, because of the A to Z. But anyway, on the A to Z, there's what to say on the recording. And the first part is, I call it a mini script. It's the 10 to 1, 5 to 1, 3 levels deeper. And then the next part is 7 minutes. And I put an example of what they could do, but I asked them, please be as creative as you can with it. And when you relax this deeply, John, you go within yourself to a place in which you feel a sense of great courage or strength or whatever, John, is needed. And you find that you have released that old issue. And I never mention the issue. I never say anything negative. You have let go of that old habit. And now you feel free. And if you want to walk upstairs, you have full range of your lungs. If you want to run, you can now run. I just say all the positive things in that 7 minutes. And then I bring them back and say, if you're listening to this before bedtime, just feel free to float off to sleep. But if you're listening to this at a time when you'd like to come back, I'm going to count from 1 to 5 and be able to come on back. And I repeat that several times. But I want them to be able to fall asleep with it. And they can put it on their phones. And they can put it on play over and over. And I know people listen to them all the time. And I have people who have come, months ago and are listening to them. And I know because I can tell sometimes on my email when they're downloading. If they have downloaded it to my docs or their phone, then I don't know. But they tell me that they love these because it just is relaxing for them. And it's like home for them to listen to it.
When I first started out, Marilyn, I was in a franchise system of hypnosis. It was just a matter of script reading. And the biggest buy-in we had with those clients was listening to a process every day. In fact, we asked them to listen once in the morning and once at night. And almost to the client, if they bought into the listening of the recordings that we gave them, they had success. Because that was the first part of the commitment to making the change. It was easier for them to agree to listen or think themselves into the change than it was to actually take a step.
Well, whatever you set up as your protocol and you do it with intention, then you create results. I decide I don't want to do a few months of a hypnotherapy training. I don't like that. I like to do a short class. I just better for my energy. It's better. So I create it that way. And I have it in my mind that they're going to get it and they're going to be able to start a practice right after a shorter course. And so I decide that it's my intention. If those people decided that after listening to those, they'll have success, that's what they have.
Right.
Yes. So many ways of doing it.
And there are certain limits that we put on ourselves. Some people put the limit of it has to be a long, drawn-out thing, class, whatever it is, for it to be successful. And some people say not so much. I was a teacher, too, in a past life, in this present life. And I took over a college course on writing radio news, or writing for the ear is what it was. And when I took over this course, the person who taught it before me said by the end of the semester, he was able to get students to write a story.
By the end of the day, you'll be able to write this story.
Dumbfounded. They were writing stories the first class, and they were writing entire newscasts by the third or fourth class.
That's the thing. And a lot of schools, they want it to be a longer course. Guess why? Revenues. Keep people in, have them practice, have them learn every single thing under the sun that may or may not be relevant to them, but then they'll stay for months and months and have to pay more and more money. I mean, there's something to be said for that, but I just,
So, Marilyn, we've had a couple of requests, and I'm putting you on the spot here just a little bit, and I don't mean to. You're certainly welcome to say you're not ready to do this, or you don't want to do this, or this isn't the appropriate forum. But there are several requests here to see if you would take us through a process. Would you be interested in doing that?
Yeah. Which one would you like?
Which one would you like to do? How about if we do, is there something that can be done in about 10 minutes, and then we can leave 10 minutes for questions? Does that sound amenable to you, Michael?
Perfect.
Okay.
I think we're going long, aren't we?
Well, no, actually, and by the way, really, we can't go long. So we have like 10 minutes for a process, and still 10 minutes for Q&A after that, if that'll work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. How about, does everybody have an issue? Do you have an issue you'd like to work on?
This group is issueless, but we'll do our best.
I know, they're evolved.
We'll do it remotely. I know people with issues.
Okay. Okay. How about I'll do some completion? Would you like that? Because that's the newest. I think that's something that a lot of people haven't yet had an opportunity to experience.
That'd be lovely.
Yeah, so if you would, just let your eyes close down if you like. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. And let yourself just drift deeper down into a wonderful, comfortable, peaceful state of body and mind. Relax. 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 Now, I know I don't need to do a long induction because you already know hypnosis, so I will make it very brief. And I know that you'll be able to be as deep as you like. It's just if you would take one more deep breath in and exhale, and just relax. Just paying attention to your body, your feet all the way up to your head, and all the way back down. Just pay attention to it. That's very good. And you might want to let your breathing get more and more peaceful. That's good. That's great. So perhaps you have something that's been on your mind, something that's been bothering you. Might be something old, might be something from the past, or it could be something from the present. Something that's in your way that's kept you from being, doing, having what you'd like to be, do, and have. So just allow that to come to the forefront if you would. And see what that is. And perhaps there are feelings that you have about this. So let yourself experience those feelings if you would. See where you feel them in your body, mind. And you might want to now allow yourself to let those feelings get bigger and bigger. Just let them become even exaggerated. So exaggerated that you really know how you feel about them. They get bigger and bigger and bigger now. Very big. And you may have other experiences in your life or in your other lifetimes of the same kind of issue. You can bring that in here too. Compound the bigness of this. And as you let this get bigger and bigger and bigger, there can be some point at which it starts getting lighter. And just notice when that happens, that it starts getting lighter. Lighter and lighter. Easier and lighter. Just of its own volition, it starts getting lighter. And at some point, you may notice that it begins to just disappear, begins to leave, it begins to melt away, disintegrate, go. So just notice when that happens and let it release. That's very good. Now, what we just did might have been a little fast for you, but you can do this on your own and finish whatever you need to finish. But I'll just do some faster tapping, and we'll put the cover on the pot. So you may want to do this with your mind, or you may want to do this with your fingers, tapping your third eye, sort of the middle of your forehead, just a little bit lower, tapping, and saying to yourself, let it go, let it go, let it go. And then on the side of your eye, let it go, let it go, let it go. And under your eye, let it go, let it go, let it go. And your collarbone points, or your clavicles, let it go, let it go, let it go. And then you may want to hold underneath your wrist, or just imagine that you are, and take a deep breath in, and exhale and say peace, 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 peace. And imagine yourself feeling good. And as you go about your life, just let that picture of yourself, or that feeling, the picture of feeling a thought or an impression, let that get stronger and stronger. So you fully, truly, 100% become that. And that's very good. Very good. So I think I might have a minute. Just imagine now, what would your wise mind say about this? Just listen for a moment and hear what your wise mind might want to say. Good. Very, very good. And one more thing, just imagine yourself looking and feeling just the way you'd like to look and feel. See it, feel it, think about it, just know it's there. Healed and whole and transformed and feeling wonderful. And if you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And if you feel like taking your time to open your eyes, that's good too. When you feel ready to open them, let them open up and come back to our beautiful selves, our beautiful physical selves. Did I give you time to process? I know it was kind of fast, but
yes, it was good.
You get the idea. Yeah. What's that?
It was good.
Great. Goody.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the whole process. That was actually taking us through the entire thing that you described,
Yeah.
Marilyn. That was wonderful.
Yeah. I found that there was time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for giving. Can't hear you.
Still can't hear me. There we go. How about that?
Now we can.
So this would be a great opportunity now for people to seize the day, as it were, because there's only one Marilyn Gordon, and she's it, and she's right here with us. So if anybody has a question for Marilyn and you want to either give us a little wave, or you can just write down in the chat box, I have a question. We will open up your microphone. If you know how to raise your hand, on the software, there's also a way to do that in the chat room. But let us know you got a question. We'll let you ask it.
Lori says, excellent, Marilyn. Thank you for the process.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sometimes these people are a little shy with asking questions. So while we're waiting for them, I do have just a little follow-up on the business question, Marilyn, and that is that I know you work with multiple streams of income and stuff. Can you just say a little bit more about that so that people can think about other ways to maybe monetize the practice?
Yeah, I go in phases, and I put a concentration on one or the other at certain times. There was a time I was really putting my concentration onto Amazon. So I have 13 books. I have 5 of them are paperbacks on Amazon, and the rest are Kindle books. And I need to devote much more time to marketing them because they need a little tender loving care. And I like giving workshops. I really like that. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating new platforms that I'm kind of making life dangerous for myself, creating platforms. I'm, creating webinars and using new school platforms. I'm deciding, I think I'm going to do Thinkific, there's Teachable and that, and I'm going to, and then what puzzled me for a long time is how to do voiceover on PowerPoint slides. But I've found that I found 2 ways of doing it, and I'm really excited about it, and that gives me a big go ahead to do this. Right. And so you can do speaking, you can do live programs, online programs. Also, you can do products. And I have home study products. And by the way, people here, you might really like my home study products. Maybe, I have a number of different things for certification, a habit control certification, achievement. I have a course called the Life Transformation Consultant Certification, and they're very, very, very reasonably priced. Everything is. You can just go to my website, which is Life Transformation Secrets with an S at the end, lifetransformationsecrets.com, and everything's listed up there. And you can also, if you'd like to be on a mailing list, and I hope you don't mind my this promo time, you can get on my mailing list, and I tell about all these different things and tell about summits. And I'm doing a lot of summits lately. And you can also get 3 free hypnosis recordings that are about the higher self if you put your name in the little box, But I highly recommend getting, these are called list magnets or lead magnets, and you can make these products. And there's all kinds of things you can do. You can make little ebooks. I have some ebooks, one on the mind, another on raising your vibration. And then I have these, they're list magnet boxes for autoresponders, they're called. And you put your name and your email. You've seen them all over the place. And you get your list together. Yeah. And there's just a lot of things that you can do with products. Mm-hmm. And just a whole lot of things. So, I like variety.
So Marilyn, how do people get in touch with you? Go ahead and get on your list.
Well, the best way is to go to my website, is lifetransformationsecrets.com. And there is a little box where you can put your name and your email, and you get the 3 free they're not CDs anymore, they're MP3s, 3 free MP3s, hard to say, but then I will get your name and we'll put it on my newsletter. And another way is, if you want to email me, it's mgordon, MGORDON, at hypnotherapycenter.com. That's easy, and I don't even have to spell it for this group, which is pretty great. I love talking to professional hypnotherapists. It's a whole different story. It's really great.
I will tell you, Marilyn has the prettiest, most colorful newsletters I have ever seen. You put a lot of effort into that. They're very creative.
I do. I work hard on them. I really do. I have a collection of graphics. I like them. When I was a kid, I used to like to make things. So this is my opportunity for my inner child to make newsletters.
Also, Michael is always very good about putting all of that information in the chat room and in the information. All of this is recorded and it's always available. It will be available. You're so fast, Michael. I hate to put it.
Well, I really try to have it out by lunchtime tomorrow. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer than that, but if you don't see it tomorrow, it'll definitely be there by the day after tomorrow. I'll mention that at the end with the announcements in terms of where they can get that. There is one other question that somebody's posted, and I'd like to just see if we can get it in here. Jacqueline is asking, how does the process? This is kind of interesting. How does the process of the electromagnetic field work with hypnosis over the internet? Does it interfere in any way? My first response is just to say, because I'm doing so much internet stuff, that I don't have any sense of that. But I wonder, Marilyn, if you've got some insight into this.
Well, we teach techniques of energy healing, and the tapping is an energy technique. And we tell people how they can experience it. I don't necessarily feel the waves of it. Oh, maybe sometimes, I suppose, if you use your imagination, you can feel the waves coming to you. Yeah, why not? Of course, it's possible. I don't know exactly. Is that question, is it that we are having trouble with electromagnetic fields when our energy system? Was that the question? Or
they're just wondering if the electromagnetic field has any effect on how hypnosis works on the internet.
And does it interfere in any way?
Does it interfere? I don't know, but I know one thing, that I wear things and I take them out there right in there. I wear things to protect myself from EMFs because I'm on the computer a lot. And I really need to, I think we all need some kind of protection from that. In life, there's just so many vibrations all around us, and Wi-Fi and everything else but I think we have to do something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see a lot of clients using Zoom, and I haven't noticed any interference with the hypnosis process at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marilyn, are you going to be at the Hypno Expo in Florida?
No, I haven't been going to things lately. No. Which one are you in Florida you're talking about?
Yeah.
No, that's the other side of the country. I know it's not impossible, but I haven't been feeling like traveling lately, so I don't think so. I mean, I know so. I won't be there, but I'm going to do it this way. So
yeah. So speaking of that, and forgive me for interrupting, Marilyn, but let me just make a couple announcements here. I want you to hang on, Marilyn, because we are going to give you a send-off in just a minute that
okay.
We'll really appreciate. But and Don, in fact, you raised the you're the one that mentioned the Hypno Expo, and I am going to unmute you just to tell you, first of all, that and to tell everybody that Don is going to be doing a one-day workshop at the Hypno Expo. He's going to be doing it on Thursday of the weekend. It is on acing smoking. And on March 14th, Karen is going to... I'm sorry?
Smoking cessation.
Smoking cessation, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, some people I know are very good at smoking.
Just light up and start.
I appreciate that clarification. Yeah, and on March 14th, Karen is going to be interviewing both Don and I in a doubleheader on that presenter series that we're going to have on these Wednesday nights. So be sure and come back for that, y'all. You are going to have a lovely time. This program has been recorded, as Karen mentioned, and the recording will be posted on the IACT IMDHA forum for members. It will also be posted on the virtual chapter Facebook group. So if you're not already a member, please join Virtual Chapter on Facebook. You'll get the announcements of all of these meetings and who's coming up next and all the great stuff that we're doing here. And I just might mention that next month, some of you may have heard of a fellow named Anthony Jacquin from the UK who originated an organization called Head Hacking Hypnosis. Quite the character, Anthony, and his father Freddie and he have now branched out into a more therapeutic-oriented practice. They used to be a little more on the entertainment side. So we're really looking forward to having him with us next time. And God bless the English for staying up in the middle of the night in order to be able to be with us on the virtual chapter. So that's what's going on. And just one last little word. Somebody posted on Facebook the other day about hypnosis associations and said, what do you need them for? I will tell you what you need them for. Association. The thing, it isn't about who the organization is. It can be all of that. And sometimes we notice in the various groups, things get a little political or a little hot or some biases or different schools of thought, conflicting with each other. But here's the deal. My life is blessed because I know a whole carload of hypnotists and hypnotherapists that are available to me, that support me if I need some help or assistance with something. And it's really lovely to be a part of a community. So if you're you're just kind of hanging out by yourself, you're really missing out on what being a part of a group can offer you. And of course, there's the virtual chapter. And you said, Don, I talked right over
It's
you.
a community.
It is absolutely a community. So, so now, you ready for this? Marilyn, we love you. We're so glad you were here with us. It is time for us to go. And what we do in order to accomplish that is we do something that's absolutely unheard of in the technology world. We are going to unmute everybody's microphones all at the same time so that cacophonously we can wish you well and send you our love and greetings. And thank you so much for being here.
I love being here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate
Much love,
it.
Marilyn. It was wonderful.
Lots of love,
Thank
Marilyn.
you.
Thank you.
I am sending you love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one.
Be well.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.